Hello there, Barbara Ragsdale, independent maker with Close to My Heart. And this is the pattern paper cutting video. So for the Love Notes card making workshop. So if you purchased the Love Notes card making workshop kit, you're going to notice you have 3 pieces of pattern paper. And this is the cutting video so that you can cut these based on the cutting instructions that will be provided to you. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to get started. Let me show you this gorgeous paper. So you have these 3 sheets. And of course, when you flip it over, you're going to have the other side that's coordinating. So we're going to start out with this striped one over here. And the first thing that we're going to do is we want to cut our zip strip off. So let's get that cut off. These zip strips are 1/2 inch. So I'm going to line this up to where the zip strip, the end of the paper is at the 1/2 inch so that it cuts that strip off because we're going to be using that. So just cut that off. Now, when we start to cut our paper, for this paper, you want to make sure that your stripes are horizontal. And for this particular one, we're going to get this in our trimmer and we're going to cut 4 pieces that are 3.5 inches by 4 3/4. Okay, so 3.5. Our first cut's going to be 3.5 by 4 3/4, and we're going to cut 4 of those. So 1, 2, and then let's get this paper back in our trimmer and cut another 3.5, and then 2 more at 4 3/4. And hopefully I am going slow enough so you can follow along if you are cutting. So these 4 pieces, these are going to be for card number 1. So what you want to do is just start a little stack, and I'm going to start my 1 up here. These pieces that are left over, this large piece, you're going to be cutting some circles. So with this, you want to get your thin cuts, and you're going to be using the 3-inch one. So it's the very large thin cut, and you're going to be cutting 4 circles. So this large piece that's left over, along with your 3-inch in diameter thin cut, that's going to be for card number 1. So I'm going to go ahead and slide that in my number 1 so I can cut those later. The rest of these 2 pieces, those are scraps. So you can start a little scrap pile. And I'm going to leave my zip strip off to the side and figure out which one that goes to. But when you cut, oh, by the way, when you die cut your circles, you're going to be using the flip side. Okay. So you want to make sure that when you use your die cuts, you cut this side of the paper. Okay. So I'm going to leave it like that to remind myself. And hopefully I will remember when I go to die cut those. The next sheet is going to be this one that has the teddy bears and hearts and those images on there. So let's get that zip strip off. So cut it 1/2 inch, and it will cut right on the line. And I'm going to put that zip strip off to the side. We're going to be cutting this side, okay? And the first cut that we want to do is, it doesn't really matter the orientation because everything's kind of going in different directions. All right. So the first cut we're going to do is we're going to do 4 of these that are going to be 2 inches wide. So let's go ahead and cut a 2-inch strip. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 of them. So cut 2 2-inch strips here. Right. And then turn it landscape and cut it at 5.5. We're going to cut 4 of these. Okay, so 1, 2, and then get your other piece and cut 2 more. And then these 4 pieces that we just cut, these are going to be for card number 4. Okay, so let me start a 4 over here. These 2 little pieces that came off will be scrap, but you know, you can use scrap. So we're going to set that off to the side. And then we're going to get this paper back in our trimmer, just the way this is. And we're going to cut 4 more that are 1.5. So 1.5, and strip at 1.5. Go ahead and cut another strip at 1.5 while you got it in there. Okay. And then take it and turn it landscape, sideways, however you call it. And we're going to cut it at 5.25. So cut 4 of these at 5.25. Okay, and then get your other one in there. 5.25. 5.25. These 4 pieces right here are for card number 2. Okay, so get you a little stack of 2s going there. These 2 little pieces that came off, those are scraps. Now, this same piece of paper, long ways, I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to cut some more pieces here. We want 1 7/8 inch. I know these shorter ones can get you 1 7/8. And if you're not sure where 1 7/8 is, let me close that and bring it up a little bit more. Your 7/8 is going to be the line, the big line right here that is right past your 3/4 inch mark. So this line that I'm pointing to is 3/4 inches. And then you've got a small one, a big one, and a small one. Hopefully that makes sense. But it's the one in between, the long line in between your 3/4 inch and the 2 inch. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. So we're going to cut at 1 7/8 inch. So let's go ahead and cut 2 of those while we have our paper in there. It took me a long time to figure out the 7/8 and the 16th. So, and I don't have very good eyes, so I'm doing pretty good. And then turn your paper sideways and cut it at 5.25. We're going to cut 4 of these. Okay, so 1, 2, and then get your other piece in there and then cut a couple of more. 5.25. 5.25. These 4 pieces that we just cut, these are going to be for card number 3. So get you a little 3 stack going there. And these 2 small pieces and this big strip here, those are scrap. So put that in your scrap pile. And the next piece we'll be cutting is going to be this one and the flip side. So let's go ahead and cut our zip strip off. Get that cut off. And let's set that aside with the other ones. And we are going to be cutting this side first, the peach design. This is kind of I can't tell what kind of design it is. It's just like little white dots. We're going to be cutting this part first. And we want to get this in our trimmer. And the first cut is going to be at 4 inches. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see the whole thing here. Let me move it up a little bit. So 4 inches. We're going to do this twice, but I'm going to do one at a time since it's a large piece. So you've got a 4 inch by 12 inch strip, and we're going to turn it sideways and cut it at 5.25. We want 2 cuts at 5.25. Okay, now these 2 cuts that we just cut, those are going to be for card number 3. The small piece that's left, we're going to cut this at 1.5. So basically, let me double check and make sure, because this is the piece that's left. It's a 4-inch piece, 1.5. Bear with me. I'm looking at the instructions. This is going to be for card number 2, but it looks like let's see. Oh, sorry. It's only because I did half. Sorry about that. I've totally confused myself. This piece right here is 1.5 inches by 4. This piece goes with card number 2. And now we're going to do the other half, because I was looking at that like, whoa, wait a minute. Did I just mess up? But I didn't. Now we're going to do the same thing again. So we want to cut another 4-inch strip, turn it sideways, and cut 2 at 5 1/4. Sorry about that. I totally confused myself, but glad I didn't start cutting. These 2 pieces are just like the other ones that we just cut, and those go with card number 3. And Barbara, the last piece that's left goes with card number 2. So that goes with the one that I totally confused myself about. The piece that's left, what we're going to do is we're going to, it's 4 inches wide already. So we're going to turn this sideways and cut 2 pieces at 1.5. So 1, 2. Oh, but you know what? This is the flip side. So I cut that side, but we're going to be using this side on that one. So if you want, I'm sure it's probably too late, but we're going to be using this side. But when we use this side, this is also going to be for card number 2. Okay. So I'm going to leave that on that side. The piece that's left, so this piece that's left, we're going to use this portion for the 4 scalloped frame die cuts that are going to be for card number 4. And just to give you an idea, card number 4, let me show you card number 4. Card number 4 is the one that has the envelope, scalloped envelope on it. So we're going to be using that piece. So put this in your stack with card number 4. And that is all of the pattern paper. Whew. I'm glad I got through that one. That one was a little confusing, but I wasn't thinking. Now, I don't see just yet in the instructions what to do with these zip strips, but later in the instructions, let me just go through them really, really quick and see. In these cards, I do not see where the zip strips are used. I don't see them in the pictures, and I don't see them in the instructions. So zip strips are going to be extra. So if once you put your cards together, or if you want to use them to create something else or use them for a special project, you can use them. Just put them with your scraps. I'm going to put these in the scraps. But other than that, that is the instructions for cutting the paper. And the next video I'll be doing will be the one for your cardstock. So I'll see you in the next video.